forgiveness. Beneficiaries include thousands of borrowers under public service loan forgiveness programs or who have total or permanent disabilities. The president says some borrowers who already qualify for forgiveness after making payments for 20 years or more were also missing out because of administrative issues.
Under this plan, no one with an undergraduate loan today or in the future, whether at a community college or a four-year college, will have to pay more than 5% of their discretionary income to repay these loans. That's income after you pay for necessities like housing, food, and other necessities.
The total approved debt cancellation by the Biden-Harris administration comes to $127 billion for nearly 3.6 million Americans.
The 5 victims are between 18 and 22 years old. They're expected to survive, but Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott says the shooting highlights the need for a nationwide gun reform.
When will the sanctity of American lives and the sanctity of
and
American
stolen weapons,
college students and students to get their education outweigh the sanctity of American guns?
Classes were canceled at the university as students met with counselors. At least 4 of the victims are students there. Right now, the late U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein is lying in state at San Francisco City Hall. She died last week at her Washington, D.C. home after a series of illnesses. Memorial service will take place tomorrow outside City Hall. Speakers will include Vice President Kamala Harris, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. President Joe Biden will deliver remarks by recorded video.
Time now for another look at Sky Fox traffic. Our evening rush hour outside. We have a new crash to warn you about. This one happening in DeKalb County. It's on I-85 inside the perimeter, headed south at Claremont Road. One far right lane is blocked, creating a
customer over hot coffee burns was huge. It was such a big story. There were movies made, books were written, country songs sung, and water cooler chatter was everywhere. But what really happened and how it was retold are not often the same story. First, let's talk about why this 31-year-old story is reemerging. According to this new lawsuit, 85-year-old Mabel Childress got a coffee back in June at a McDonald's drive-thru in San Francisco. The complaint alleges the lid was not secured, the hot coffee spilled out of the cup, causing severe burns and emotional distress. Ms. Childress's lawsuit claims negligence. The McDonald's franchise has not responded to the suit yet and has a few weeks to do so, and that is completely normal. They will respond. Now, I talked to Ms. Childress's attorney, who told me she was on her way to a podiatrist appointment when this happened, and then the podiatrist saw the burns and said, hey, you need to go back to that McDonald's and file a report. Make them aware of this. Well, she did, and according to her attorney, an employee made fun of her and refused to take that report. Her attorney says she had first and second degree burns. Now, let's go back to the original case, the 1992 case, when 79-year-old Stella Liebeck, 2 years later, filed suit in Arizona over hot coffee burns, also from McDonald's. She got lambasted for what was called a frivolous lawsuit. Of course, coffee is hot, they said. Well, there were late-night jokes, a call for tort reform, but later a movie came out and the case revealed some of the facts that got overlooked. Ms. Liebeck, according to a statement from a consumer attorneys organization, was not driving or even moving in a vehicle. She was in a parked car as a passenger. Ms. Liebeck admitted she spilled the coffee, but her complaint was about the temperature, believed to be at 190 degrees, water boils at 212. Her injuries were serious. We're talking third-degree burns that required painful skin grafts and multiple surgeries. Ms. Liebeck didn't want to go to court. She just wanted her medical bills covered, asking for less than $20,000. McDonald's reportedly offered her $800,000. She declined. They went to court. She won. In the end, she was awarded close to $2.9 million. And there was an appeal.
I've had
it was
second
settled.
and third degree burns all over my face.
Much lower, about $600,000.
From water from my radiator that overheated.
When a McDonald's manager testified that they've had about, at the time, 700 similar complaints of this scalding hot coffee burning customers. And so today you see the warning on the cups that the coffee is hot, very hot, and to be careful.
at the jail with what the activists had to say. Tyler.
Turn everybody
Alex,
loose.
good evening to you. Activists are worried moving inmates hours away would be harmful for several reasons, including the right to representation. But on the other side, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office says the overcrowding here at the jail is another concern for those very same inmates.
Stand up, fight back!
About a dozen activists rallied outside the Fulton County Government Center Wednesday morning, just minutes before the county commissioners were set to meet. The group is against a proposal to move up to 1,000 inmates from the Fulton County Jail to other ones in South Georgia and Mississippi.
We're demanding the Fulton County Commissioners vote against Sheriff Labatt's disgusting proposal.
Sheriff Pat Labatt says the plan would help ease overcrowding and allow him to fix deteriorating conditions at the Fulton County Jail. This year, 10 inmates have died while in custody. Sheriff Labatt has asked the commission for $30 million to get this done. While it wasn't an official topic during Wednesday's meeting, a number of people spoke out against the plan during public comment.
If someone's sent hundreds of miles away, how are they going to prepare for their case?
The Atlanta Circuit Public Defender is against the plan because he says it would impact his office's ability to represent clients. This week, he asked for a temporary restraining order to keep inmates in Fulton County until a hearing later this month. The real solution. Sheriff Labatt wasn't present Wednesday, but previously said the move is necessary.
It's about safety, first and foremost.
During the commission meeting, another one of the sheriff's funding requests came up. One of the commissioners had some strong words about accountability.
If the sheriff come to us with an ask and it's a needed ask, then I'm going to be the first one to sign on the dotted line. However, I'm going to be the first one to ask for accountability.
Tomorrow, Georgia Senate leadership will announce they're looking into issues here at the jail. I reached out to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office about that. I just received a response moments ago. They said what's being announced tomorrow is a review, not an investigation. We're live outside the Fulton County Jail tonight. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5
Interesting
News.
to see how it plays.
The lawmakers already in the running.
With Kevin McCarthy out, the race is on to succeed him. And time is of the essence with all House business paralyzed until a new speaker is selected.
We just need a strong speaker, a strong leader, and we need to do the work of the American people.
House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan is the first to throw his name into the ring. The Republican from Ohio could face an uphill battle getting support from more moderate lawmakers. In his letter asking for support, he pleaded for unity, writing, quote, "We can focus on the changes that improve the country and unite us in offering real solutions, but no matter what we do, we must do it together." Also entering what's expected to be a competitive race to the speakership, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, the Louisiana lawmaker drawing on his 2017 shooting during a congressional baseball practice to drum up support. Quote, "God already gave me another chance at life. I believe we were all put here for a purpose. This next chapter won't be easy, but I know what it takes to fight." Matt Gaetz, the Florida Republican who instigated McCarthy's ouster, claims he'd be fine with either of them.
There would be no question that the House of Representatives and the Republican conference was in a stronger position than we were under the former speaker.
President Biden also weighing in on the congressional chaos, saying Congress needs to focus on getting work done, including funding the government.
We reached an agreement over the weekend. We cannot and should not again be faced with an 11th hour decision.
House Republicans are expected to start voting for a new leader next week. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
All Georgia. We're told CBP has released more than 18,000 migrants into the community of El Paso from processing centers here in just the last 2 weeks. Now, we do know that most of these migrants are going temporarily into shelters in downtown El Paso, but the shelters here are struggling. Shelter leaders tell us many of the migrants coming here are Venezuelans who have very little resources and need more help from the city. But the city's resources and shelter space are both draining fast.
The Opportunity Center for the Homeless has been in operation now for close to 30 years, come January. But we've never seen the number of migrants that have been coming into our community. But we've been seeing the community releases as high as 2,000 to 2,500. And at one point, late last week, we were anticipating those numbers could get up to 7,000.
The The city manager tells us right now El Paso is doing everything they can to avoid stream releases, but at this point, it's not sure exactly how long they can keep this up. In El Paso, Texas, Caroline Elliott, Fox 5 News.
His son-in-law, 55-year-old Paul Naselli, before shooting himself. It happened just before noon yesterday at a home on Butterworth Road. The suspect is still in the hospital. Investigators are now working to learn what led up to that shooting. In Gwinnett County, a suspected serial burglar under arrest. Police say 26-year-old Devondre Antonio Walker is connected to a series of burglaries at more than a dozen businesses across metro Atlanta. Investigators say that the crew involved in the crimes used stolen cars and license plates to make them more difficult to track down. Police charge Walker with 5 counts of second-degree burglary.
A safety snafu for Delta. The airline says planes were serviced with jet engine parts with forged safety records.
In a statement, a spokesperson says that the spare parts were found on less than 1% of the airline's fleet, or about 21 planes. None of the affected planes are in service, and the problematic parts are being replaced. The spokesperson did not say if planes were in the air with fake parts. The parts could include nuts and bolts or turbine blades and jet engines. The British company that sold the parts is under a government investigation. The parts have also been found on American, United, and Southwest planes. Those jets have also been grounded.
Let's take a live look outside to get an idea of what the weather wants to do this evening. Here it is. You see the clouds out there. It looks like the sun might be trying to set a little bit earlier, too.
I feel like here it is Wednesday, and Fox 5 Storm Team Chief Meteorologist David Shanley out on the weather deck. David, the days just keep getting nicer.
Oh, man, it's very pleasant out here. Got a little bit of a breeze working, and we're also seeing a mix of some sunshine and a few fair weather clouds out here. We're not
school, yet her experiences with biological men coming into women's sports, as well as our locker rooms, didn't really end upon graduation.
I have a little sister who's still swimming, and she had an instance where men were changing in the locker rooms at her swim team. She practiced at a YMCA, and when she spoke up about it, she was removed from her swim team. She was actually banned from a YMCA of all places.
Caitlin's sister Abigail, who's 6 years younger, actually got more than 200 signatures in a petition to keep men out of their locker room before the Y banned her instead. The 2 incidents made Caitlin realize the issue wasn't going away, even though her swimming career finally had.
And so I realized that I think it's time to join the fight, because hopefully that will encourage more people to stand up and speak out.
Caitlin has joined friend and former University of Kentucky teammate Riley Gaines at Gaines Leadership Institute as an ambassador. The lifelong swimmer plans to share her messages on college campuses, as well as introduce legislation in her home state of Illinois that keeps men out of their sports as well as their locker rooms.
It's definitely hard to do in the state of Illinois, since there's some people that are very obstinate about it, but we're really encouraged to see the people that I have spoken with. They're not, they do agree. They agree that men should not be changing in women's locker rooms. Men should not be in women's sports. It's about protecting our children. It's protecting women in reality.
Now, advocates like Caitlin have their work cut out for them. Since 2020, just 23 states have passed similar laws banning transgender athletes from competing in women's sports.